All right, so Max Holloway just proved one more time that unless your name is Alexander Volkanovsky, you're not going to beat him. It is so fascinating, and it just leads to the question like, who else is Max going to have to fight in that weight class? And if Max Holloway just keeps defeating everybody else in the weight class, is he eventually going to have to fight Alexander Volkanovski again, right? It's like at this point, his only hope is that Alexander Volkanovski loses that belt to somebody, to Yair Rodriguez or somebody, so he can have another chance to fight for the belt because it's not looking good, man. If he's going to just defeat everybody else, like, I mean, what else is there for Max Holloway, right? Max is a very, very, very interesting one. Very interesting style. He is one of the few strikers in MMA that I could honestly say that you could put his style as a system, as a step-by-step system, where there's a step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5, until you get to the final step. It's a very interesting style. Now, going into this fight, of course, the team of Arnold Allen, head coach Faraz Sahabi, a little mastermind in the sport of MMA, definitely had his work cut out for him. But they were up for the task, right? Because we've seen Max Holloway lose in the octagon before. It's not like Max is not a puzzle that has never been solved. It has. It's been solved by Dustin Poirier, and it has also been solved by Alexander Volkanovski. And it's been solved by Conor McGregor in the past. It's been solved. You know, Max is not an undefeated fighter. So going in there, even though Max is definitely a freaking force to be reckoned with, they did have a lot of material to draw from. A lot of fights that they can look at and see, okay, this is what Max does well. This is where there are holes in a man's game. And when you listen to Arnold Allen's corner in this fight that just happened, you can tell that they were definitely well prepared. But man, it is one thing being well prepared, and it's another thing actually being able to execute what you see on paper, right? Because on paper, the system of Max Holloway striking, it pretty much goes like this. Step 1 is get you to retreat. That's step 1. And Max has a few ways he likes to do this. One of his favorite ways of doing this is using a front leg side kick to the knee. So he'll stab you to the knee, which gets you backing up. Another is he charges forward. He charges forward in a way that like a lot of fighters get scared, right? They're afraid of what's coming at them, so they immediately start to back up. Now, once Max establishes that he can get you to retreat, the next thing he wants to do, step 2, is to get you to shell up, right? Max doesn't want you using head movement. He doesn't want you using footwork to counter. He wants you backing straight up and shelling up. That is it. If Max can get you to do that, back up, that's step 1. Step 2, shell up, block. He has you right where he wants you. Then Max can get into step 3 of his system, which is to start piercing your guard, put in shots in between, anywhere he finds holes. And he's going to do that over and over and over and over. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. This is something that Alexander Volkanovski and his team understood very well, which is why their approach to fighting Max Holloway was to stop him as step number 1. Step number 1 is to try to get you to back up. The first step is back up against Max Holloway as little as humanly possible. And you can tell in the beginning of this fight, Arnold Allen was doing a very good job of that. He was moving forward. He was advancing. He was making sure that he was the one controlling the center of the octagon. Because as long as you're controlling the center, as long as you're advancing and you're not backing up, Max cannot get that ball rolling. He wants to start a freaking snowball effect on you, and as long as you're advancing or standing your ground, he can't do it. Step number 2 is to prevent him from starting his step number 2. His step number 2 is to get you to shell up. And how does he do that? We already established he does that by performing a big action. He either attacks your lead leg with a front leg side kick that gets you retreating, or he performs a big, he hops in. He does this thing where he hops in with like 2 steps and then begins his blitz. And a lot of times it gets fighters going, oh shit, here comes Max, block, and they start moving backwards. Now, what Alexander Volkanovski did is the moment he sees Max do the little hop hop to enter the pocket, he plants and rips. He plants and intercepts him. Even if he doesn't actually hit Max, that stops Max from actually going. So Max goes boom, boom, about to go, a shot coming right back at him. He has to back up and reset. Volkanovski was forcing a reset over and over and over again. And he was doing that incrementally. He forces a reset. Max backs up. He moves forward. Max tries to go again. He forces a reset. Max backs up. He moves forward. And that's how he was able to consistently back up Max Holloway and stop him from getting that ball rolling. Of course, he was also using his leg kicks very well, which Arnold Allen he did a very good job of that in the first round today, but he completely abandoned the leg kicks. It's like they came in with a solid game plan, essentially mirroring the game of Volkanovski. But then as the fight went on, they kind of let that go. And you heard Mr. Allen's corner reminding him. You heard Faraz reminding him over and over again, do not back up, do not back up. When he moves forward, you move forward. When he throws, don't shell up. I want you to throw as he throws. But it's so much harder to do because Max is not just an offensive fighter. The man can actually counter too. He's got really good pull counters, slip counters, and he might not look like he packs a punch, but I mean, he can do some serious damage as we saw in round number 5 of this fight, man. It's just amazing how you see, okay, this is the game plan that's going to work, but it's going to require a certain level of fighter to implement it and implement it at a very high level and consistently. And that's, of course, what we saw Volkanovski able to do. And so Arnold Allen goes out there. He does his absolute best. I believe if I had to say a round that he won, I don't even know. Maybe round number 3, maybe. It's hard to say. It really is hard to say because in as much as it looked like he was performing some big actions, landing some big shots, the numbers were always consistently on Max Holloway's side. Always. Every single round, I believe Max outlanded him. And he's so slick. Max is so freaking slick. The moment he gets going, it's so difficult to stop that. Which is something that I'm sure they realize, which is why they didn't try to formulate a game plan where they stop Max when he gets going. The game plan is to not even let him get going. It's so hard to stop the snowball as it's rolling, right? The best way to prevent is to completely prevent it, right? Prevention as opposed to a cure, right? So Max goes out there, man. He puts on a really beautiful performance, but so does Arnold Allen, man. This was a definite step up in competition. There's no doubt about it. It's a step up in competition, and he showed a very good account of himself. He didn't go out there and get completely beat up. It wasn't like watching Max Holloway absolutely brutalize Brian Ortega, right? Or watching Max Holloway absolutely brutalize Calvin Kattar. It wasn't like that, right? This guy was prepared for Max. He was prepared for what Max Holloway does very well. He came in with a solid game plan. He just couldn't implement it as well as we've seen someone like Volkanovski do. And so Max goes out there and he beats him. I believe the judges scored it 49-46. 2 judges, 49-46. And one judge was like a 49-48, something like that. Either way, I don't think this was controversial at all. I think it's a clear win for Max Holloway, which again leads us to the question, what the hell happens now? If Alexander Volkanovski does not lose his belt anytime soon, then what? What do we do with Max? Do we just have him and Volkanovski fight each other over and over and over again? Or is the man just going to have to move up and wait? Maybe that might be the best thing for Max at this point, because I just don't see him beating Volkanovski, man. I really don't. Alexander Volkanovski understands that man like the back of his hand. He understands the style of Max, and he's going to be able to counter it every single time. I don't know what sort of adjustment Max can make to be able to beat that guy. I don't know. So his option might just be to hope, fingers crossed, that Volkanovski loses his title, or just move up and wait, man. Just move up and wait and go take his chances with Islam Makhachev, which is no joke. It is no joke either. Anyways, man, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comment section if you guys watched the fights. Let me know what you thought about it. And let me know what you think Max is going to have to do from here. Like, where do you think he goes from here? I don't know. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Have a good night, boys.